Okay, so I'm going to try and walk you through what it means to follow the light. So I've got the nail prepped, so filed, kind of like you said. So this is just a plastic tip, but filed. I'm going with my primer. Okay, that's just to make sure that everything sticks and bonds well. Okay, so I just want you to notice, so I have a straight light. I do not like the round lights. Round lights are a lot harder to do this with, but if you notice, you can see the reflection of the light in the fingernail. Okay, so I tend to cure mine for 30 seconds. Just, you know, a primer. Okay, I'm not going to wait the whole time. Okay, so then you need to come in with your base coat. I use Pre-Bond from Beetles. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I feel like it just like really, really allows my nails to last. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to start laying down a very thin coat because you don't need a lot. Okay, and as I get closer, I'm just going to kind of squish the brush so it gets closer to the cuticle line without touching the cuticle. And then I pull back down. Okay, so this also self-levels, so there again, I'm following the light. So you see how it's a straight line? It's not wavy, right? So I'm going to put this into cure, and I will come back in a minute. Okay, it's cured. I'm going to use a dark color because I'm hoping it'll make it show up better. Okay, so when you take it, you want to make sure you wipe off your brush so you're not loaded with too much product. Okay, and then you're going to just start laying it down. You don't have to do it thick. A lot of the products you're going to use are going to be kind of like a self-leveling if you're using a good product. There are some products out there that are not great products for that. Okay, once again, I'm going to kind of just squish into my cuticle and pull back. This keeps it from flooding the cuticle. Okay, and I try to get it as close as I can without touching the skin. And I'm very meticulous. Some people can get this done bam, 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 thank you, ma'am. But I like to make sure that I'm doing it right, sealing that edge. Okay, I'll be right back. Oh, again, pointing out. You see that line? Now you can see right in here, there's a little wave, right? And that's probably just because I got a little bit too close to the cuticle. But also looks like there is a fluff in there, possibly. I love using the light for that. So you can take your nipper, and you can go in and just try and grab out. Or you can find bubbles, like if you see bubbles in there. So now that I did that, I'm going to wipe my brush off again, and I'm just going to kind of come in and just kind of smooth this out if I can. And that might be from where I filed, because sometimes the filing will stick up. I'm not super concerned about that. Also, you can see that I got a tiny bit here on the edge. So I take my little, oh, come in closer, sorry. I can never stay in frame. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to just use that to wipe it off. Okay, so this is going to go in the light, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And now I'm going to put in the second coat. And again, the second coat is going to cover any of these where it looks kind of not quite covered. You don't have to do it thick. The thinner the better, really. If you have to do a third coat, that's okay. But you don't want it thick because that can lead to undercuring. So I'm just kind of, like I said, like before, I'm working my way around, starting lower, and then I'll kind of push my way up to the cuticle. Just kind of get it in there. See, I didn't get any on that free edge right there. So right now I'm just slapping down color, right? So once it starts to self-level, this is where you're going to again look at the light. You can look at all angles. You can come this way, look that way, but again using the light. So it's fairly straight. It looks a lot better. Another thing to keep in mind is how they're holding their hand. So you want them to hold their hand out like this. If, as you're going along, they start to droop a finger, droop a finger, droop a finger, droop a finger, you're going to get rolling. You're going to get, that product is going to settle down in the edges, or if they're sideways, it's going to roll into the free edge. I'm going to go ahead and cure this, and again, be right back, and then we'll talk more. Okay, now that that's cured, I'm going to come in with my top coat. So I'm going to also show you how to do what I do when it comes to blooming gel. But top coat, I love a good top coat. I use the Beetles. So I'm just, again, going to apply it in here. The reason why I'm showing you and putting the top coat down first is because the darker colors sometimes tend to bleed. And since I'm going to put a white on top of this with the blooming gel, I don't want the color to bleed into. Okay, so you see I'm going down into those cuticles as close as I can, and then I'm going to push again into that. There's a little glitter in this because I used it last on a glitter toe set. And that can lead to some bumps. Okay, so I'm going to show you because I saw this now as I'm coming along. Can you see, using the light, you can see right there, it's kind of pulled away in the corner. It's self-leveling back in, but there's a little bit right there as well. This is what I'm talking about by using the light. You can see where the imperfections are. But other than that, it looks super smooth and really pretty, right? There's like where the glitter is. I'm not going to worry about that so much right now, but kind of just touch this a little bit. You want to make sure you cover that free edge as well. Okay? All right. So I'm going to cure this and come back and do blooming gel. Okay, so I just started by prepping a little bit. I put a little tiny bit of white on my little palette here. Just white gel polish. I prefer one that's a little bit more runnier just because the art gels tend to not move as much. I'm using, sorry, move it this way, Artiste Blooming Gel by BioSeaweed Gel Company. I really like this one. Kind of smells funky, but other than that, it's fine. It's fine, I promise. Okay, so like before, you're just going to place it like a top coat almost. Try and cover as much of the nail as you can. And like I was saying in the text, when you're using blooming gel, it's more for like an artistic flow. It's not really for a perfection, right? Okay, so I'm seeing a little bit, again, playing with the light, seeing how a little bit is not quite covered. You kind of see how that light's like moving around. And that showed where I also didn't get it. I missed some right there in that spot, and I missed some over here in this spot. That's what I mean by following the light. Okay, now that's settled a little bit. But we're going to mess it up, because this is blooming gel. So I've got a little bit on my teeny tiny little brush. And we're going to do a rose. So you're just going to start by laying down your petals. I'm sorry. I had to have the light low so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move that out this way. Move this way and like that. And you'll see that it's starting to bloom outward. Which is fine, it's kind of what you want. Sorry, this again, in order to do this close, I had to bring the light close. It's probably not my best flower, to be quite honest. But I'm just trying to show you what I mean by, we don't want perfection when it comes to blooming gel. It's not made for perfection. Okay, so come down, pull this around a little bit. Okay, not a perfect flower, but I'm going to go ahead and cure that, and then we'll come in with a little bit of extra detail. I'll be right back. Alright, now that that's cured, I am going to come in with the same little white dot, and I'm just going to kind of follow what I was trying to do in the first place, which was create those little swirls, right? But just we're going to follow the outside edge. So we can go down like that. And pull out. You know, nothing has to be perfect here. Flowers are not perfect, right? Oops, sorry again about that. Hope that doesn't make you dizzy. You see how it's starting to come together? It's starting to look pretty. That's where you can fix some of the imperfections, like I didn't like that. Okay, I'm going to go into this side. Oops. Again, I'm out of the light, or out of the view. I'm going to come around and try and connect that flower that way. Come up here. Now, obviously, your client's finger does not come off. They can't just hand it to you, but but you can ask your client to move in whichever direction you need. Most of them are going to be very compliant with that. They're going to be like, okay, you want me to twist my arm backwards? Sure, I'll do that. Okay. See how that's starting to look more like a flower now? And we can come in and do some shadowing if we want, but I'm going to go ahead and cure this and I'll be back. Okay, so I've taken also, this is just a kind of a clear black. I'm going to take that, and then I also, you can see this, I took the blue that we started with, right, and I mixed it with just a little bit of top coat. So a bigger drop of top coat, one tiny drop of this blue to make a sheer blue, but it'll tie it all in together, I promise. So what I'm going to do, this is just me being detailed, you can go with it, we're just going to go in and we're going to make some shadows, because that's how we're going to create the 3D effect here, right? So I'm going right into that, sorry, come up here, so right in there, and then I'm creating the shadows more at the base of each petal, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Because this is imperfect perfection, right? And just a little bit more here. I just realized I flipped this finger since the last time I was on here, so you get to see things from a different angle. Okay, so after I've got that, I'm going to light my brush. It doesn't matter if it gets too much in it, because now I'm going to move into this blue, and I'm just going to kind of smush it in with that shadow and just kind of create almost an ombre effect. But I'm not going to go over the white, the second white coat that I went in. And this is just going to pop everything when all's said and done. Now, you're probably also thinking, how do I use the blooming gel to do like a marble effect? It literally is almost laying down, I call it like lightning bolt strokes. That makes sense. Lightning bolt strokes across, and then you just let the blooming gel take it, and it can take it in all sorts of really beautiful directions. It may not look good when you're putting it together, but when it's done, the finished product is amazing. Okay, so you see I've got some shadow, I've got some color in between. I'm going to go ahead and cure this. I'll be right back. Okay, it's cured, and I move, because this is glass, I move it out of the way of the light just so I'm not turning my product on. I'm going to take a bigger brush now and dip it in there. Turn it this way. And I'm just going to put that over the whole thing. It's going to bring out all that beautiful color. Use up all that I've got left so I'm not wasting any. Into that white. Okay, you see how that's kind of got more of a 3D effect to it. I'm going to go ahead and cure that. We're going to do top coat after that, and I will show you how to do a top coat if, if you look here, I'm just going to show you, it's now bumpier, right? So we're going to show you how to level out a top coat when you have a more ridgy design. Alright, she's cured. Now I'm going to open up my top coat. Okay, let's see. It's definitely not like laying flat, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start laying down just my first layer of top coat. Pushing it in a little, smooshing it around. Okay, we're getting there, little bit by little bit here. Okay, so I took a little bit of a bigger dot there. Now this is where it can get a little bit tricky. You still see it's a little bit not quite straight across. Okay, now you don't want to do this too thick, right? No thicker than a dime is the way they described it to me. But I'm going to take where this has like a little bit of a ball on it, just a tiny bit, and I'm going to kind of place it where I feel like it needs filling in. And then I'm just going to use my brush to kind of smush and move very, very gently, like you're not lifting the brush at all. You're going to move it so you can see it's filling in those areas. And so I'm looking here, you see how that's not looking straight? So I still have a little bit of a ball on my brush, and I'm just gliding over the top just to fill in where it's imperfect. And a tiny, tiny bit more, not much. I still wiped it off, but I can see areas where it needs a little touch. And on a top coat, you can, I do this a lot with a builder too, but you can, because you don't want to keep adding, right? You just want to, don't want it to be thicker than a dime. So if I see that it's still not settling down, which I can see, I'll let you look, follow that light line. So I will flip over the nail. I'm going to kind of let you see from this angle and let that settle into more of a natural apex. You can take a look at it this way, make sure everything's filling out right. Okay, now if I turn it over, see how that's already starting to look a lot better. You see that line. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that in the light to cure. And there you have it. And that's what it means to follow the light line. So I hope that helps. I hope that will help you as you proceed to learn how to do nails and become an expert. Because I think you're going to be amazing. Bye.